Hey there, gang. It is time for another comic book grading video, and this time out we have a treat. We have some Pogo comic books from the late Golden Age, and not just some Pogo comic books, by the way. We have got the full and complete run of Dell's Pogo Possum. So, if you like comic books, stick around. We're going to have some fun. Hey there, Bubby. Welcome to Shanghalla. My name is Duke, and this is a grading video. So, you know the deal. Please do like, share, subscribe, comment away, do all the groovy things. And of course, these books will go up on eBay once I have put the grades on them. The seller name is .com Comics. And I'm actually pretty excited about this. Now, I can't tell you I actually know myself a lot about Pogo. I don't believe I've ever really read the Pogo comic strip. The strip ended in 1975. But the art is certainly fantastic. And, of course, the strip is recognized as Walt Kelly's masterpiece. Full of social and political satire. And it is just such a treat just to look at. So yeah, this is going to be fun. We've got all 16 issues here. It's sort of interesting that although Pogo is generally seen as a comic strip, it actually got its start in the comic books. Well, we'll take a minute here before we get too far and talk a bit about Pogo. He debuted, both Pogo and Albert Alligator made their debut in Animal Comics #1, 1941. They appeared in all 30 issues of that series through 1947. They didn't start in comic strips until 1949. Walt Kelly at that point was working at the New York Star newspaper, and so he started these characters in a comic strip there. It started in October of 1949. Excuse me, it started in October of 1948 and ran until that newspaper ended in January 1949. So only a couple of months, but luckily it then got picked up by something called the Post Hall Syndicate. And I'm not real familiar with the Post Hall. I mean, I know United Features and King and all of the other syndicates, but I'd have to look up Post Hall to tell you much about them. But anyway, the first strip ran on, what was it? I made myself a little cheat sheet here off to the side. It was May 19th, May 16th, 1949. And the interesting thing is this comic book right here hit stands on August 30th. So only just, 3 months after the strip debuted. Now, I do not know, and the Grand Comics database does not say if these are strip reprints or if they are like the Animal Comics stories original to comic books. Like I said, the Grand Comics database doesn't say, and it's hard to tell. I looked through them and they kind of read more like their comic book stuff. But either way, still pretty neat. Now, the book was nominally a quarterly, but there were larger gaps between issues, so it only ran 16 issues through 1954, 16 issues of this series, and then there was one shot here, the Pogo Parade. So there is that. Walt Kelly himself died in 1973, October 73, complications of diabetes, and his widow and son kept the strip going until it was finally canceled in 1975, a decision that, if Wikipedia is to be trusted, they made themselves, largely because, the size allotted to comic strips, even though comic strips really sold the newspapers back in the day. Editors had turned up their noses on them by the 50s, 60s, 70s at least, and so they had shrunk down to such a size that Walt Kelly's widow, I believe her name was Selby, just was like, nobody can read these things anymore. What's the point? Bill Watterson of Calvin and Hobbes fame, whose art is, I think, very reminiscent of Walt Kelly, eventually came to that same conclusion. So we're going to get right to it. I'm not going to probably go through all 16 issues here on camera as far as grading goes, but in a moment we'll do sort of a mini unboxing. I will show you the covers to all 16 issues. I do want to point out, because some people in a recent video, a couple of recent videos, have sort of, well, they've lost their fucking minds. There's no other way to say it. People have gotten really mad at me because I've been pointing at the book, to different, defects and things like that with a pen. Now, I promise you, the pen is never any closer than a quarter inch or so to the cover. I've never actually touched the cover, but people have gotten really mad, both in the comments and then, private emails and things like that. But it's a ballpoint pen. It's not like a dip pen or anything. It's not, no ink's going to leak out. But anyway, my wife used to be a dental assistant, and she had a little bag of tools. I don't think anybody's actually touched this in about 15 years. But just to be safe, I did take an alcohol swab and wipe off the tip here because I assumed it was initially used to prod and poke between teeth. But this is what I will use to point out things as need be going forward. So there's that. All right, let's take a moment here and look at the covers. I'll get these my grading sheet out of the way. And we'll look real quick. There's Pogo number 1. Number 2. Actually, I should kind of flip these so I can get back to number 1 easy, huh? There's number 2. And that way you can kind of see the back covers as well. Number 3. And the art, Kelly's art is just so charming. I love the line weight, the expressiveness. It's just really a beautiful, beautiful thing. A lot of these have spine rolls. And I'm assuming they're all complete. Well, we will take a look at that. I'm not going to count out the issue numbers because you can count them off as easily as I can. They're in order. I did already put these in order. That's cute. Look at a little bunny rabbit. And I'm sort of on the verge of recommending to the owner because it is the full series. And frankly, Pogo books in the past haven't done that well for us on eBay. I don't know if did I mention it already? I sort of lost my train of thought. All of these books will go up on eBay. The seller name is .com Comics. So if I didn't say it already, and if I did, well, there's some extra reinforcement for you to memorize by rote. But I was on the verge of recommending that we sell these as a lot because I kind of think, again, because individual issues of Pogo haven't in the past done particularly well. They've gone for books in similar grades to these, and like, I don't know, 10 or 12 bucks each, sometimes less. That maybe because it is the full set, that might give it some added intrinsic value. And so kind of thinking of recommending that we sell them as a complete set. But they were put on my desk to grade as singles, so I guess probably that is what we'll do. But once they go up, you keep an eye. Again, the seller name is .com Comics, and you keep an eye out. And when they do go up, we'll see what they go for each issue. You kind of set your mind now what you think this full set is worth. And then we'll add up the individual issues, what they go for, and we'll decide whether or not I was right and we should have sold them as a set, or if, as occasionally happens from time to time, believe it or not, I was wrong, and individual is the way to go. All right, so I take my glasses off, try not to get my head in the camera's way. And as I've told you before, if you see a sudden zoom shot, that's not because I want you to get a really close look at something. It's because my fat head is over here. So I've cropped myself out. All right. So this first issue, this is number 1. Again, this is August 30th, 1949. Rumpity-tump on the tumbity-tum. The cover. I already know this because I've looked through them a little bit. Probably the easiest way to do this is to go this way. The cover is detached. So when a cover is detached, there's sort of a maximum grade you can get. And I think the highest I've ever seen from CGC is a 3.0. And that is like a book that's practically perfect in every way. It's, you know, it's a Mary Poppins book, except for the cover being detached. But to look at it, you know, in the CGC holder, you wouldn't really know unless you're like, "Why the hell is that a 3?" You know, it looks like a 9.4. But generally, for me, a coverless, I mean, a cover detached, that's going to top out at maybe a 2, generally a 1.8, and I think this one, I'm sort of right now, I'm kind of torn between, well, should it be a 1.8 or a 1.5? It's not mutilated enough that I feel I need to go down to a 1.0, but we do have several defects. In addition to the cover being detached, we've got, I'll pull out the trusty ruler here. We've got a 1-inch bottom spine split, which then parlays into a 1-inch rip. We've got a 1-inch rip here with quite a bit of folding on either side. And then we have about a 1/4-inch hole in the spine right between the staples. So there's kind of a lot going on there. And then we've got, you know, a little bit of a spine roll. Not much, but enough that the pages have started to fan here. It looks like maybe there's a little stain right there. Pointer. Boop. And see, with this, I can actually touch the book. So there. I guess there is a benefit. Lots of color cracking on the cover. Big, long. Whoops. I went to the trouble to get this. I have to use it. I'm serious. I dug this out of a trunk, brother. Way in the bottom. I knew it was there somewhere. And so the big old crease right there. But I think it's going to be a 1.8. We'll take a look inside, and like I said, I think this looks to me like it's original to comics. I don't think this. The Natchez Nymph is the name of the boat. I don't think this is comic strip reprints. I think this is comic books, and I do believe it is all actual Walt Kelly. Was he doing the strip and the book for a while? Does that explain why the book was occasionally, you know, quarterly plus, like 5 or 6 months between issues on occasion? Is this whole book one complete story, 52 pages? That would be some kind of awesomeness, wouldn't it? Let's see. I want to show you the front splash, if I can do it there without. See, that's kind of rough. And also, in addition, we've got some browning on the inside here. And is that a rip too, or is that just, oh, it is a rip. Look at that. How long is that one? Freaky Ganiki. Okie Finoki, Freaky Ganiki. And that's, well, that's about 1.25 inches. So I think I'm going to go, I'm kind of torn, but I think I'm going to go with a 1.8. I'm not feeling the 1.5, even though there is quite a bit going on there, but be that as it may. So there we go, 1.8, and we will pop that in the box here to go back to be handed off to the lister, Sean, who will scan that and create the eBay listing. All right, number 2. Now we've got some heavy browning here at the top and on the spine, so that's going to be interesting to look at as far as the inside goes. Now sometimes I use my nail. Looks like the spine is just discolored. I use my nail to see if that spine is rough, to see if there's any rust that I can't easily see. We've got a spine roll. So the problem with this is it's just not as convenient to use as the pen. It's kind of weird to hold. I gotta figure out how to do this. But anyway, there's a 1/2-inch rip there. The other thing is I can't like hold the book and the thing at the same time. Well, maybe I can. I don't know. But look how brown that is here on the inside. That's quite heavy browning. That's browning that is worth making note of in the comments. And as you know, if you've seen these before, I was just looking to see if the staple was detached. Oh, you know what else I need to do? Okey finoki, indeed. And I didn't do it on that last book, and I better go back and check. I want to make sure the book is complete and isn't missing its centerfold. So this is heavy browning too. So I think this one, again, we've got a lot of edge chipping here and a lot of color cracking. No real spine split to speak of, but even so, heavy browning. So first off, before I do anything, let's go back, grab this. So that's 48 pages plus the cover makes 52. So that is complete. So glad we went back and checked that. And at a 1/8, the extra handling really didn't hurt us much. So on this one, I am going to call that a 2.0. So that's a good 2.0. Okay, now this one's got a pretty prominent spine roll, and I think that cover's detached from the bottom staple. Oh, by the way, that's number 3. Boom. And, well, maybe not. Let's look at it on this side. Heavy, browning. Nope, so the cover is fully attached. That's good. The inside covers are browning up. Not quite as heavy as that last one, but still, heavy enough. Here's a look at what's going on inside there. Just for you fans of the master. I'm looking for that centerfold. Boom, boom. There it is. Looks complete. Everything looks good. But beyond that, we got a little bit of writing here. Whoops, I grabbed the pen. Get that out of the way. Some writing here which was not from my pen. This whole edge is all kind of blunted up and chipped. Blunting up here at the top. Top's kind of brown. And it, from this corner, it looks like the centerfold is detached in some way, but it's not. Beyond that, we have here above that bottom staple, we've got a little hole there, about a 1/4 inch. Take a look. Bang. Actually, it's closer to a 1/2 inch. Closer to a 1/2 inch. So this one, I'm going to go with a 3 on that. That is going to be a 3.0. And the reason is that although we've got the browning and the heavy spine roll and this 1/2 inch hole and the other obvious damage, unlike the first 2 issues we saw, there are no prominent rips anywhere, so it's more complete. And generally, a 2, a 2.5, I'm expecting to see some rips or some chunks out, more than like that there. So this is what I would call a complete book, not missing anything, not mutilated or mishandled in any way. It's just been very, very well handled. So we are going to go with a 3.0 on that. And now we are on to Pogo number 4. Hoo-ha, hooray. This one's better. Now, none of these really have much of any cover gloss. The last few haven't had any. This one's got some. You can see a little bit of reflectivity here. If I move it around in the light, maybe a little bit. Right in through here, you can see some. So it's not right down to the bare paper. Got a little tiny piece out right there. And this one has a spine roll as well. This one does have, it looks like, some light rust on the staple. And although we have, some folding and some color cracking, again, it overall presents much nicer than the last couple of issues. The back cover as well, and the back cover is frankly, a much more brilliant white than the others. And the inside covers, that browning is not nearly so bad, just kind of a small bit of tanning along the top and bottom. The inside looks pretty good. So we'll take a gander through here as we move on towards the centerfold. And it does look attached, not super tight, but it is attached. And the book appears to be complete. So that's good. That is good. So I think this one, I'm tempted to go to a 4, but I don't really dare go to a 4. Oh, it was just a hair there. Thought he had like this line down the middle of his belly, and it was just a hair. Well, one of the few I have left, and there it was. But because of like the little bit of light rusting on those staples, and as heavy as that roll is, I'm not sure I quite dare go to a 4. So I think I'm going to call that one a 3.5. 3.5. It's much nicer than the one I just called a 3.0, but I don't think it's. I don't feel really, because of the browning, I don't really feel good enough about going to a 4. So, and the rust on the staples. I hate rust. Here is Pogo. I've lost count. We are on number 5. This one feels thin, but Dell kind of notoriously went back and forth between 52 pages and less. This one doesn't say 52 pages on it, so it's probably much less. We've got, again, a more complete looking issue. Only really a minor spine roll. I can feel a little bit of rust on the bottom staple anyway. The back cover looks good, or, good for what it is. But there is a fair bit of heavy, if not browning, then a kind of a prominent dust shadow top and bottom. And you can see some heavier browning, yes indeed, on those inside covers. Let's take a look through. Whoops. I was trying to count as I went. 1, 2, 3. And this would be a 32-page book based on that count. And we're at the centerfold, and it's all complete and tight. So I think I'm going to go to a 4 on this one. This one will be a 4.0. And the reason is primarily the browning. Like if none of the browning was there, I think we would still be at a 5.0 just because of the amount of the color cracking. I mean, there's no big rips, but there is, of course, blunting on all the edges and corners. But you still have the color cracking and whatnot. But with the browning there, as heavy as it is, there's the front cover. Don't know how well we looked at the back cover before, but there it is again. And the browning is really, that's a hard call sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I should go down even further. But again, I try to imagine what would this book look like if there was no browning. Where would it be? And again, I would probably be at about a 5. About a 5. So I think, knock it down to a 4. Is the browning heavy enough that I should go all the way down to a 3.5 or a 3? You tell me. What would you do? What would you do? But I think I'm going to go with a 4, just because this book is so complete. We'll keep on trucking. Keep on trucking. Dining car. Grizzly Flats. And we have, as we can see here, boop, an arrival date. This is number 6. This one feels really thin. We definitely want to count up the pages here. But on the plus side, not nearly as brown, at least on the outside, although it is pretty much on the inside. And you can see here, there's some brittleness setting in, because this fold here you can see that it almost, I don't know how well you can see that, but it almost acts like it just wants to split right along that fold, especially right in where it's the brownest. So you gotta be a little careful here. Gotta be a little careful. Indeed. Back cover looks kind of okay. Inside the back cover is quite brown. Again, let's count these up. 16, that brings us to the center. It looks right. So it's another 32-page book. What's going on here? I guess we have something has impacted this and created a bunch of little micro tears right there. And if you can see right here, there's some ragged paper. Now, is that something from the printing process, or is something ripped that I missed when I went through it the first time? Yeah, it looks like it's just, looks like the knife that cut these pages wasn't sharp, and so you can see it left a little piece sticking out beyond the edge there and had some indents. And you know, there's a little piece there, whoops, piece there cut out. So we won't detract that quite so heavily, if at all, because that's a printing error. You know, if this book was a 9/8, it would still have those rips we just looked at inside, those little chunks out in the piece extending beyond, because that's how it came off the press. So we won't really mark off as heavily for that. Now it might make it a little less desirable, although again, you're talking a late 40s, early 50s issue of Pogo. That's not really gonna detract from things at all. But I think we're gonna actually. I feel like we should go to a 3.5 on this one because the browning is heavy enough that this page almost along that fold, almost acts like it wants to split, and also because, and I haven't really pointed this out yet, but here along this top edge, we've got some foxing. That's the first kind of, we've had some heavy browning so far, but that looks like a little bit of actual foxing, and foxing is, you know, kind of the start of mold. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with a 3.5 on that. Boom, boom, boom. Even though, and that's an odd one, because just a glance at it, you know, first blush, you look at this one that I called a 4, and that one I called a 3.5, you might think this one is the better book. And that's partly because the yellow cover, it's a brighter cover, so that fools you. This one's a little bit of a darker cover, and so it picks up all of these little color crackings, you know, little wrinklings, to a much greater degree. This one, the brightness of it kind of hides them a little bit, and because it's a lighter color, it sort of blends them in where you see the white beneath the color a little bit, if at all. So even though this one looks like it's in maybe better condition, because the browning is heavier, I'm going to go with a 3.5, whereas I went with a 4 on that one. So that's how all that works, by Gory. You think differently. You sound off in the comments below. You let me know what I'm doing wrong. Don't be afraid to let me know what I'm doing right. I don't hear that often. It's nice to get a little pat in the back every now and again. How many more of these do we want to do? Let's do 2 more. We'll do 2 more on camera. Because again, I don't want this to go on that long. So both of those staples are okay. This one's got the browning kind of here along the side for some reason, rather than the top and bottom. But beyond that, it looks okay. This would be an easy 5 anyway. Back looks okay. A little bit of browning there on the spine. Browning inside, but not quite so bad. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 should be the centerfold. Yes, it is. It's a 32-page book. And then I always, like I said, as you may have intimated already, once I get to the centerfold, even if it counts right, I still check the continuity. You know, does it seem right? Does that match? You can get fooled sometimes. You'll think that's a 32-page book, and you'll think you're at the centerfold. And they might have fooled you. They might have made it a 36 or a 40. So, number 7, 1951. Browning on the inside, not too bad. Pages are tanning. This one, I'm going to call that one a 4-5. Yes, I am, by golly. And if the browning was just on the inside, kind of as medium to light as it was, I might have gone with a 5, but because we have this kind of browning strip here on the outside as well, I think I need to stay at a 4-5. Without the browning and just what little bit of color cracking we have, we could be at a 5-5. Got a couple of stress lines right here, but yeah, I'm gonna go with 4-5. Boom, 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 tra la 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 la. All right, I think we'll make this one the last one, and then for the rest of them, as I noted, the seller name is .com Comics. So let's grade up this last one, and then the rest I'll do off camera because I don't want to keep you here all day. Unless you would, if you would like me to go an hour grading books, maybe one day, once I get above 1,000 subscribers, I'll do some live stream gradings. I'll probably have to buy a camera by then because I won't be able to film and pay attention to what I'm doing with the iPad. I'll have to get an actual camera by that point. But once I get to 1,000 subscribers and I'm monetized, and they'll actually let me do it because right now I don't have a camera. I just film with the iPad, and unless you have 1,000 subscribers, YouTube won't let you live stream from a mobile device. So once I get above 1,000 subscribers, let's say it one more time because really I'm just trying to talk you into going out and getting all your friends to subscribe. But once I get above 1,000 subscribers, maybe I'll start doing some live stream gradings, and then we'll go an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever makes us all happy. But as it is, I've told you before on my internet that I have here in Western Maine, if I go 30 minutes on a video, that will literally take about 6 or 7 hours to upload. I've only got 1 meg of upload speed. Nominally, I mean effectively, it's usually about 3/4 meg or so. And that's like, as long as my wife isn't working, she works from home. And as long as she's not working, then I've got like 3/4 to a full meg. If she's working, forget it. All right, let's grade this bitch up. Smoking's bad for you, boys and girls. Don't do that. So look at these. Look at these just sitting there getting dragged along. Friggin' millennials. So there's some kind of heavy browning right here in this corner, and so that's not good. And up here at this top corner as well, we've got some folding in along here, some color fading or browning along the spine here. A couple of ticks there, and it's sort of interesting that the condition now overall is getting nice enough that it's worth pointing out some individual ticks. Before it was just tick central, tick galore, kind of like the woods around here in recent years. Back cover's okay. Let's see what that inside back cover. Browning's not too bad, or at least in comparison to what we've seen before. Whoops. And we'll count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Trying not to bend the book as I count them off. And that brings us to the centerfold. Everything's tight. Continuity matches. Looks good. Flipping through the other pages just to make sure nothing's cut out. These books don't have any coupons or ads or anything, so nothing's going to get cut out. That's good. And some light browning there as well. So I think I think this book can go to a 4.5, and I would go to a 5 if not for the Browning. And, oh, actually, we have a little tiny tear right there. If not for the Browning, and particularly if not for the Browning being evident on the cover, this looks to me here. Am I even on camera? Can you even see that? Here and here, by the way it's positioned, it looks to me more like a dust shadow than the kind of aging that we see on the inside. It looks like the other book was kind of maybe like that on top of it for about 40 years, 50 years. And so that looks more like a dust shadow to me than anything else. Whereas one we looked at a little bit ago looked a bit like foxing, which would have made sense too. Even if there were books piled on top of it, and one edge was kind of peeking out. If there was any kind of ambient moisture there in the air, any humidity, that might have picked up, started foxing from that little bit that was exposed. But here it is definitely just, that is just the deposit of many millennia. If a comet had hit, that's where the iridium layer would be. If a comet hit and wiped out the possums. Anyway, so I'm going to call that a 4.5. And that's it, by golly ollie. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to play comic books with me. And until the next time, goodbye, good luck, and please be good to each other.